Hi, this is Theo from PocketBlocks.com. Today I want to show you how I draw people, how I draw simplified versions of people that I put into scenes of sketches that I draw on location. For example, in this sketch here of a temple, I drew in very basic sketches of people that I put in front of the temple. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how I draw people, very simplified versions of them. Let's talk about the different advantages of putting people into your scene. The first main advantage is it makes your scene look more lively. For example, in this sketch here, I put in these people. These are actually tourists. So I made this scene look more lively because there are people walking around, so there's action happening. Versus, let's say, a sketch of this temple where there are no people walking around. It's quite static when you compare it to something like this. So this is more lively because of the people. The other advantage is when you add people, it helps the person who is looking at your sketch understand the size of other subjects in your scene. For example, the temple here is not very tall because the person is this height, and this temple maybe is 2-story high and it's not very big. And you can use the person to compare against the size of the temple because everybody will know how big a person is. So those are the two main advantages. How challenging it is to draw a person or a group of people depends on how much detail you want in the sketch. For example, in this sketch here, these people were drawn with relatively few details. Actually, you cannot even see much of the details like facial features, but the general shape is there, and the general shape is enough to suggest to the person who is looking at this sketch that, hey, there's a bunch of people standing there. So that's enough. That's the level of detail you need to put in a sketch like this. Let me start with a general shape of a person: the head, the neck, ears, the hair, eyes, nose, mouth. Maybe the guy is wearing a t-shirt, the hands, and then we have the legs. So it's something like this. This still has a lot of detail because you are able to see the facial features. You can see the shoes, the lines within the shape itself. Now if you scale down this shape, maybe let me draw it smaller by half. When I scale it down, I would skip all the facial features because it's almost impossible to draw in the facial features in this size. So it would be something like this. This is a much simplified version. I might not even, I might add in some of the shoes that the person is wearing, but let's say if you draw this even smaller, so the shape becomes even more important. You can still sort of recognize that this is a person. We draw a few people standing there because they have legs, and there's this little circle there that sort of looks like a head, and then there's a body. And when people see this kind of things, they immediately know that, hey, it looks like there are some people standing over there. So what's important is really the shape of the person. You want to make the silhouette of the person quite obvious, especially the legs. The legs can be together as well, but sometimes I would just draw a line in between just to give that extra hint to people who are looking at this particular sketch. Now, how to draw accurate proportions of people. A person is usually about the height of the person usually is about the height of 8 heads. So it's something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now when you're drawing, you might not want to use this measurement because there's a lot of math you have to do. So usually when I'm drawing, I'll just draw one circle here, then I'll put in the shape of the person. Then I'll use this line here as the halfway line of the person. So the legs are of the same height as the body plus the head. So I'll draw the legs at the same height and put in some arms. Now if you get the height of the legs wrong, then the person is going to look a bit weird. For example, if you draw the legs like this, so you can tell that the leg should be much longer. But actually this person is wearing some pants, so now it looks okay. So now the person is taller, it looks okay. So this is how I draw people. It doesn't have to be very obvious. You can draw them by the side also. Same thing, this is the halfway line, and this is the shoes, and this is the feet. And if you are drawing the front, sometimes you might just want to draw the silhouette. So important to make the feet go down and then go up. Go down, go up again. Now this person looks a bit weird. Why is it? Again, let's see the halfway point. Okay, the height looks alright. However, the hands are not, looks a bit weird because the hands actually they should go towards the halfway point. So let me redraw this with the hands going to the halfway point. So now that the hands are nearer to the halfway point, it looks more like a person, even though it's just in outline. So when your proportion is off a bit, even by a little bit, especially like, for example, the hands not crossing the halfway point, or the height of the legs not crossing the halfway point, when people look at a sketch, it's going to look a bit weird. Of course, it really depends on the type of clothes that the person is wearing as well, but generally speaking, you want to make sure that the head, the shape of the head is there, the body is bigger, and the legs are there, the halfway point here. Here's part 2 of the lesson. How do you make sure that people are in perspective when you are drawing? Let's say you are standing and drawing. This is you, the back view of you, for example. You're standing and drawing, and there are people standing in front of you. So this is actually your eye level line. And the eye level line will coincide with the horizon line in this case. And people who are at the same height as you do, people who are as tall as you, their eyes will meet at the same level. So let's say a person who is standing like 100 meters away, he's going to appear smaller because of perspective. He's going to look smaller. However, the head, the eye level will match your eye level. So the eye level of his will match your eye level. And when you're drawing, remember the techniques I told you just now. Just draw a simple circle, the shape of the body, the feet, and the arms, stuff like that. And this person is going to look in perspective. Let me draw a few more people. Again, this one maybe is standing much further away, so I'm just going to draw it. And there are a few people who are standing very, very far away. So this one is just so tiny. Person standing on the side, perhaps, just walking. So all these person, they look as if they are in perspective because they obey the laws of perspective. By the way, I drew in this diagonal line to help you visualize the perspective. So people who are standing further away, they are bound to be smaller. But generally speaking, if they are as tall as you, their eye level is going to meet at the same point. But you do not need to understand perspective in order to draw something like this. Perspective will help you fix mistakes. For example, if you draw a person who is going to be like this, whose head is not on the eye level line, this person is going to look a bit off. It's like he is floating or much further up, or standing on some steps actually. He could be standing on some steps. Let's take a look at some examples from my sketches. This is a sketch that I drew inside a train, a public train here in Singapore. People were holding onto the handles and standing. And my height is somewhere around here. This is how tall I am. And my eye level line is around here. So people who are almost as tall as me, they are going to meet my eye level. So you can see that the eye level for this person, this one, they coincide almost on the same level. Now for people who are standing on the left side, it seems like they are a bit shorter because their eye level line is a bit lower. So you can tell that people who are standing on the right side is taller than people who are standing on the left side. And in this sketch here, I want to show you some mistakes. In this sketch, I was standing, my height is probably something here. So my eye level will be something along this level here. And my eye level crosses this person, these few people here. However, when I look at this person here, this person, the eye level is much higher. And when you compare it against all the other person standing here, it's as if he is so much taller. Also, when you look at the people who are standing here at the back, these people look as if they are so much shorter because of their eye level, which is around here. So this is sort of a sketch with some mistakes. Let me flip to the back and see if there are any more examples. Here's an example of a train sketch again. So my height, I'm around this height here. So this is my eye level. So people who are as tall as me, their eye level is going to meet my eye level, which is at this height. So people who are standing at the back who are also shorter, their eye level is going to be a bit lower. Here's another sketch where there are people on the steps. Just now I mentioned that if a person, let's say, is standing on a step, the eye level will be much higher. So for these two persons, the eye level is here and here, versus these two persons who are standing here, the eye level is much lower. So it really depends on what you see. This is a sketch drawn on location, so I drew it based on observation, and the people here are just much taller than the people here because of the eye level. In this example, I want to show you the level of detail that I went in with this sketch. It may seem as if I put in a lot of detail, but when you look closely at the people who are sitting on the grass, sitting on the benches, actually they are just dots and just like straight lines, very simple shapes, triangular shapes, rectangular shapes. Let me zoom in for you. So these are actually just a bunch of shapes. The main thing to note here is I try to make the heads much darker, like this depths of black color to make them stand out. Then the body shape is just a big shape that I drew in below the head. And as you look further into the back, you can see all these depths of color, this triangular shape with a little circle at the top. All these are like triangular shapes with circles at the top. All these are not a lot of detail, but when you draw in every little thing here, You don't have to draw in all the fanciful details like the eyes, the bags they're carrying, the types of clothes, the wrinkles on the clothes. All those are not necessary because you cannot see them from afar. But with this level of detail, which is not a lot of detail, you can still get a suggestion of the people who are sitting there. So that is enough. And when you look at the sketch from afar, it will look as if that there are a lot of people there. So you just need maybe like 1 or 2 person in detail where you can see what they are wearing, or maybe you can see their face. For example, here this is a big person. You can see the t-shirt, that he's carrying a bag, he's wearing some sort of pants. So how do you practice sketching people? Well, just go to places where there are people walking around, standing around, waiting. For example, bus stops, train stations, shopping centers, eating places, or even cafes. Those are great places where you can practice. And when you're practicing, focus on quick doodles just to get the shapes correct. Focus on getting the shapes and the proportion correct. The most important thing is to get the shapes and the proportion correct. For people like this, you just have to draw maybe a simple oval for the head, a general rectangle for the body, and the feet, well, just like a W, something like that. Once you get the shape and the proportion correct, they are going to look like people, even though they might not have a lot of detail. And you don't want to draw a lot of detail for this kind of sketches because you don't want them to take away attention from your main subject. Let's say if you are drawing a building, you want that building to be the main subject. You draw that in more detail and then the people in less detail. Or if you are in a cafe and you are drawing a person who is sitting very close to you, then you can draw the person in more detail, and people who are seated further away, just draw them in simple shapes with less detail. So that's a technique that you can try out. I hope you learned something from this video. That's all. Thanks for watching. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section below. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, do so for more sketching tips and techniques, art book reviews, and art supply reviews. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.